Are you waiting for an ideal implant case in your clinic? Let me tell you friends, there is no ideal implant case. Any case that walks into your clinic is an ideal patient for placing an implant. Most of the times you will find that the patient who walks in, something or the other is there, like the width is less and you have to refuse the patient, or you are not confident to place an implant in those cases. Today we are going to be teaching you how to place implants in cases where the width is not adequate. We are going to be talking to you about bone expander kit, which is sponsored by NMD, and I am Dr. Urvi Shah, founder of Denture Dental Clinic and Academy, and today we are going to be talking about how to use bone expanders, and in cases where the width is say around 3 mm and you want to place an implant which is also of 3.5 mm. So how do you make the bone which is 3 or 4 mm into 6 to 7 mm? So what you're going to be using is something called as expanders. And also stay tuned, because at the end of the video I'm going to be telling you a pro tip which is going to help you in most of your cases, or sometimes if you get stuck while doing an implant, these tips can help you in. So let me take you quickly through the parts which are there in the kit. This is called the bone expander kit from NMD, and these are the expanders which are there of different width. If you can see, 2.6 mm, 3 mm, 3.4, 3.8, 4.3. This is the pilot drill, and this is the extender. This is the extender. This is the hand extender. This is the latch adapter, and these are the parallel pins. And here you can beautifully find a small tray where you can keep your bone graft or anything that you want to keep over here. So what I would advise, when you're starting your implant practice, in the first 10 to 15 cases, always take a CBCT and decide your length depending on the CBCT scan. You can also decide it through your OPG, but with a CBCT you will be a little more confident. So if my CBCT shows the length of around 13 mm, I can easily go up to 11 or 11.5 mm depending on which implant system are you using. So first I would decide my length, and also in the CBCT you will get an idea of how much width is there. Supposingly you have a width of around 4 mm and you have decided that the length is around 11 mm for example. So if it is 4 mm, and if you want to place an implant of 3 mm, you cannot do that. So that's when this kit will help you in expanding the bone. And so from 4 mm, you have to expand it up to around 7 mm, which you can do it with this kit. So let's quickly go through the demo. So I'll be first starting with my pilot drill. It's written pilot over here. You pick up this drill. It has markings of different length, and you will be starting right at the center up to the desired length. If in the start you are a little stuck, you can drill up to 6-7 mm and take an X-ray also. After this, I will be using expander. So you can use expander in two ways. These are through a ratchet. You can expand it. Also, if you want to expand it using a handpiece, this is how you would attach it and use it. But what I would initially advise is that initially when you're doing your cases, I always prefer that hand control is better. So you will slowly keep torquing this inside. Depending on how what is the quality of bone, D2, D3, the expansion will happen. Also, very important is when you have seen your when you see your CBCT scan, you will see that how much amount of alveolus bone is there. if good amount of alveolus bone is there, expansion will be easier. So at this point, if you want, you can always take an X-ray. This is how I have gone to my desired length. Now, if you will try and remove it, it will not come out. So you have to reverse the ratchet and go in the reverse motion. The same ratchet which we use like this to go inside, we have to use the out motion or the reverse motion and remove our expanders. As I told you earlier, you can do this either with a handpiece or through hand. I prefer doing it through hand because it gives me better control. Now we finished the 2.6. Now we'll pick up the 3 mm. Place it in the same side, implant side, and we will keep torquing it inside. This is the reverse one. We'll use the forward one. Slowly, if you can see, my expander is going inside. This is a dummy mandible. In your actual bone, it will go much easier because it has alveolus. So, alveolar bone, as you can see, I'm slowly expanding the bone. In between each expander, you can use saline irrigation so that the bone while reversing, if you want, you can reverse it. So similarly, we will remove this drill and go to our next expander drill. So our last expander will be 3.4. Yes friends, we will be placing 3.5 mm of implant, but we will be only expanding up to 3.5. The reason that we will be doing this is because if we are going to expand more than 3.5, the primary stability of implant gets lost. So as you can see, I haven't drilled. Only one drill was used and everything else I have used the expanders. And now I am again reverse torquing this out. And again, let me remind you, in between use saline irrigation between each expanders. I am not using it here because this is a dummy mandible, but you have to use it in patient's bone. And now we will be going ahead and placing our implant. So this is a dummy implant which we will be placing in this. This is an implant driver. You will get this in your implant kit or any of our standard implant kits. And you will not be touching the implant surfaces. This is just because it's a dummy implant. Normally it comes with a mount or... So I will place half with hand and then I will torque it. As you can see, I haven't used any drilling in this. Just with the help of expanders, the implant is going inside and very nicely. You can see. So what I like is just 0.2 mm below my bone level. The other things which are there in the kit is, you can, if you're placing multiple implants, you can use the paralleling pins so that each of your implant is parallel to the other. Supposingly I have placed one implant, one drilling here, and I want to place the other. So each implant has to be parallel to the other. So how do I define that? So I use these paralleling pins, which helps me to see that all the implants are parallel to each other. At the end of it, again, I must tell you that patient has not come for an implant. Patient is coming to you for a tooth, and once you place an implant, if you placed it in the right position while you are taking the impressions or while you are going to give the crown, prosthetically your work becomes much simpler. So for that reason, it's always better that you place the implant in the right 3D position where the tooth can be right in the center. So these are the paralleling pins which I'm keeping back. So this is all about the kit. This point of time, you will repeat your X-ray to see whether the implant is in the correct position and it is not close to your mandibular nerve or any vital structures. If you're placing in the upper, it is not close to your sinus. So you will check that again before placing, and even after placing the implant, take an X-ray, and then I will be putting a cover screw, closing the site with sutures. So after we finish placing the implant, usually we call the patient after 7 to 10 days for removing the sutures, and the patient usually gets a cap after 3 to 4 months. After 3 months, when the patient walks in, you will place a gingival former, leave it for 10 to 12 days, and after that call the patient, take the impression, send it to the lab. The lab will make you a crown which you can place it in the patient's mouth, and you're good to go. So in the coming videos, you will also see parts. What are the parts of implants? What would you do in the second stage after you place the implant? You stay tuned for that. So as I promised you, I'm going to leave you with a pro tip. So normally, sometimes it can happen that you have in the start, if you're too scared, sometimes you tend to underdrill, and usually it happens that the implant doesn't go to the full length and the implant is stuck and you don't know what to do, and you keep talking the implant but the implant is not going inside. What do you do in such a case? Remove the same implant, place it back into the container where you removed it from. Then again take your expanders or the drill which is corresponding to your the implant that you're placing. Supposedly in this case I'm placing a 3.5. Usually this happens when you've not drilled to the enough length. So what you do is, again place your expanders, go to that correct length, and then take an X-ray to reconfirm that you've reached to that length, and then take the implant and place it back. I hope you like this tip and the video. You can also leave a comment on what are the things that you are finding it difficult in starting your implant practice. In our next video, we are going to be coming up with how you can, with your basic setup in your clinic, how you can start practicing, how I started my implant practice, and how I ended up placing more than 1,000 implants in the last 3 years, and more and more tips are going to be coming soon. I hope you like this video. Share it with your colleagues, and do leave a comment and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.